Okay, Shalom Aleichem everybody, welcome. My father, Allah Sholom now, back in I think 1987, actually, let me begin from, my father came from Russia, both my father, and my mother married in Russia, and then they, at a certain point in time, there was a miracle, the border opened, they were able to get out. And they traveled to France. By then, my three sisters were born, and they came across to America. My mother very much wanted to be over near the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and they had an opportunity to go into partnership with a very good man called Rebbe Alter Lieberman, and they both started a very, very good partnership for many years. So my father was always in the meat business. I grew up, and that's all I know. I was born in Borough Park. The Rebbe told my father that he should live near his store where he was, and therefore I wound up on my yeshivas. I went to a Stolen yeshiva to 6th grade, and I went to Torah 6th and 7th, 8th grade. I had very good rebbes actually in Stolen. I remember very Pilchik. The name's not important, but very great, good rebbes. And then when I got older, I went to Lubavitch, and so I always remembered, I always helped in the store. And actually my father was interesting, the Eibishter gave him the ability to look forward. Like, I remember my father with a white apron and chopping meat. And then he got this idea of making self-service, which was a new way of selling kosher meat. He had Baruch Hashem, was very well respected for the kashrus and the integrity of a kosher meat, and everybody in Borough Park was to buy by him. And then he realized that the supply of the meat was getting smaller and smaller, because a good shechita needs a smaller type of shlachtus to work in. With not that many animals being shechted, the line doesn't go so fast. And what was happening in the non-Jewish world, the smaller places were suddenly competing with huge companies out in the West. They were killing them, maybe 4,000 behemoths a day. Impossible to keep a kosher line going that way with the right bedikas and the right shchitas. So as he saw the smaller packing house, the Schlachthuiser, were going out of business, his ability to buy meat became less and less. And about 1987, he got his idea that there was a small Schlachthuis out in a small little city called Postal, Iowa. But not a lot of people. The 1,200 retired farmers were there, non-Jewish people, not a Yidden site that we knew of. And that's where he started the business. About 1989, I went to be a shliach in Atlanta, Georgia. I worked over there on the college campus and the Karav Yidden. And then 1990, Atlanta, Georgia is important in the story, because over there I got to realize that kosher meat outside New York was just not available. Everybody was buying the meat in the bigger cities, whether in New York or Chicago, and they take it with them. Freeze it and put on the planes. It was awful in the sense, aside from kasher standpoint, what people were buying fresh over there, inside the availability and the pricing. So realizing that my father needed a lot of help, and I got this idea that Baruch Hashem, this is a tremendous opportunity to be able to give a good supply of kosher meat to the Klal Yisrael, and to get into these smaller cities, and even good, proper kosher meat at good prices, and just to jump out a second. Baruch Hashem, we were very successful with that. Over the next 15 years, we RUBASHKIN family pioneered bringing kosher meat to supermarkets. You can go to supermarkets today and buy fresh chicken, fresh meat, and delis and of a good hashgachas, and there's something you didn't have then. Mamash not available, and so from that respect, Baruch Hashem, we're very successful. But to get there, it took a lot of hard work. I Baruch Hashem had a family, and then 5 children. There was no cheder of any sort in Postville, so we lived actually in Minneapolis, in the Espol, Minnesota. There's a little community of Lubavitcher cheder there. So I used to drive every single day back and forth, or every other day, and watch and oversee for my father this fledgling operation, which started out with 70 people, and grew over the next 18 years to Baruch Hashem, a very big company, a national company of employing maybe 600, 700, 800, 900, maybe close to 1,000 employees, possibly a big company. And I don't have the numbers clear, but there was a huge company that was a tremendous service to Israel, providing good quality kosher meat, because Iowa is a place where good quality meat is nurtured and raised, and chickens and turkey, and it was phenomenal. Now, to get there, I realized that, which kind of shachtim were coming. The shachtim were coming with high class, high quality shachtim, Yerushalayim. They weren't living there. And they used to fly in from New York, from different cities, from Israel, for a few weeks. But I realized that how you having a kosher shlachter without having to fly in every week was tiring for them, was hard for the family life, for the shachtim. And the most important for business, I would say, there was a lot of interruptions. The logistics coming in and leaving on Thursday, and snowstorms and delays. So the next phase, I realized that my brother there was helping me, and we realized that we have to start a Jewish community. So we started a Jewish community out in there, and till over the next, 12, 15 years, we had the Baruch Hashem over 100 families living there. Real estate, the going were booming. I mean, when we came there, houses were going for $20,000, smaller houses, and by the time of the raid, you couldn't pick up a house under 50, 60, maybe 80. I don't know, I'm not in the real estate, but the bigger houses, a lot more. The town was growing, over 300 people were there. Commerce was there, but on the Jewish side, we had a shul that we all davened together. That's phenomenal. It was a shul, we called it Achtus Yisrael. We all davened together. And I explained to everybody that when we started, that the only way we're going to be able to raise our children there, this is a whole story for itself also. Raising children in the middle of coastal Iowa. How are you raising children? I myself was wondering, how am I raising my children? So what it winds up being is that we had to became the place where it had to be a good Erdach Yiddish house. I used to make a Malk every Motzei Shabbos and invite all the shachtim over there to come and make a ruach over there. Shabbos we davened together in shul, and we all bring, and each one said his old Dvar Torah from his Rebbe, from his Rosh Yeshiva, from a Ferish in Chumash, and when it came a bris in town, everybody joined together. It was mamish. We worked hard together, but we also had a Yiddish shtot together. It was a mamish amazing in that sense. We had a boys' school, and we had a girls' school, and Atas HaKodesh. It wasn't mixed. Chas Sholom. Sometimes smaller grades, whatever. It was mamish. And then as it grew, we put in a high school there. We had the Bachim, we had a little yeshiva there. We had 30, 40 boys in yeshiva over there. In order to have the boys, we invited people from other parts of the country to come and join us, and so our processes took upon itself to pay the teachers, and then other people came along. So we created a yeshiva environment. It was mamish. We had a Baruch Hashem biggest anoshim, and we had a kosher store grew up over there. It became a library, a gemach. It became a place where Yiddishkeit was flourishing, literally. And then came the big raid. In 2008, the government sent in like 500, 600, 700 people over. They stormtroopers, and they stormed the place with guns, with helicopters. It was Arak, and from there, my life suddenly changed from being someone I thought would be a giver, in terms of building yeshivas and building businesses and being able to support different tzedakahs and just being someone on the serving Hashem ba'isher. I suddenly found myself being attacked by many different charges, and I found myself in a place called prison. Not only that, I was actually on the federal side. They gave me a sentence of 27 years. 27 years. I was shocked by the whole thing. I went to trial, pleaded not guilty. On the federal side, the state of Iowa also came against me with 9,311 charges. I would bet that's probably the biggest charge number that was ever given to any human being in the history of the United States of America, for sure. They were trying to make me, and I get in the second trial, Baruch Hashem, all the charges were either thrown out or not guilty. And it was so from the whole state case became nothing. And how this all came to be is a story that's in the storybook. But here is a point, and then the federal side, it didn't work that way. David still wanted me to go through a Nisoyin called prison. I was hoping that the success of the state case would somehow have some effect to reduce the amount of time that federals were doing it. It's amazing. I remember calling my wife up, and one Monday morning, even before the law in the United States of America, you cannot sentence a person unless the person is in front of you. A judge can't sentence. It was Monday, Tuesday was a sentencing, and I just called up and they after the federal trial again they denied me bail. It's just amazing the type of treatment they gave me, and usually you give a bail, and here they didn't give me bail. They had me stuck in this jail throughout the whole state process, which is very hard. It makes it very hard to defend yourself. I mean, it's a constitutional right to have bail, and they maneuvered everything in a way, because the reason why the Constitution found it so important to make bail, because you can't really defend yourself when you're under lock and key. You can't talk freely. They listen to what you're saying. It's just awful, and I had to prepare for my state trial and Baruch Hashem I won, and meaning they came out not guilty, but I was hoping it would happen, and then so I'm in jail, and I call up home, and my wife tells me Monday morning, your sentence came out. And my sentence came out. How could that be? And she says, well, it is. And she had the hard job of telling me that it's 27 years. I was shocked, and I thought that initially she said 27 months, which was also so very surprising to me. It's 27. Why so long? And then I said to her, 27 months. I've been already on the lock and key for so many months, and then take off the good side. It looks like I'll be home very soon. She says, no, you're not listening. We're talking about 27 years, 300 and some months. I said, wow. And Baruch Hashem, I learned Shabbat B'tochen. I learned Shabbat B'tochen every single day, and I was totally immersed in the sugya of Emunah B'tochen Hashem, and I want to share with you what that means. Emunah means that everything Hashem does, nothing happens in this world without Hashem making it happen. That's Emunah, obviously, right? And we're minute, but on a very basic level, Emunah means that Hashem is with you, never alone. Hashem is always with you. That's Emunah. Emunah means whatever happens to you is only come from one place, from Hashem. Hashem Emunah means Hashem is Tachsatayv. Put it all together, what do you have? Gamzul Teva. Whatever happens, you have to know that it's for good. Now, sometimes the good you're getting from Hashem is a good that's hidden. But, like a story with Rabbi Akiva, initially he lost his light, and he lost his chicken, and he lost his donkey, and it was hard for him going through a night like that. He was rejected from giving any hospitality in the city, right? But he went, every time he said, Gamzul Teva, Gamzul Teva, Teva. The next day he found out it was for his Teva, because during the night a bunch of bandits came in and took all the people away that we have here and sold them to slavery in this land. But that's what we found out later, but as he's going through, it was a hidden good way. But I'm wondering, you say Gamzul Teva. B'tochen means, and this is very clear in Fashar B'tochen, and the Berein Shai Yeshuva says, we learn B'tochen from the pasuk. You see a big army in front of you, right? And so the meaning, you can't get saved. There are more horses, more chariots, and what are you going to do? They're opposing you, and they're about to kill you. Loisidim mehem, says the Torah, don't be afraid of them. Why? Why Loisidim mehem? Because says the Beinu Yein Rishon. This pasuk is coming to tell you, if a person is experiencing a tzara kreiva, that's he sees a tzara that's kreiva. The person is facing a tzara, a problem that's kreiva, is close to him. Yeah, Tiye Yeshua Hashem B'Vavei, the Yeshua should be in his heart, v'yivtach alav, and he should trust in it. And I remember learning this and taking chayas and light from this. The Torah is telling me, Sholom Mordechai, even if you see a matzah but you can't see a derech hateva to get out of, your job, David is telling me in the Torah, your job is to have v'tachan leisidim b'ahem and Yeshua Hashem b'Vavei, and that's what I went with. And that's exactly what happened. As I'm going through all the preparation for the trial, I learned from Shara B'tachan not to rely on the arguments and not to rely, trust in Hashem. And where Hashem wanted me to win, I won. What happened. My job is to say thank you for Hashem for what happened until now. The Rambam writes in Sefer Brachas, for the Osir, the person should always, how do you put it together? How does Emunah and B'tachan work together? B'tachan means, clearly from Shara B'tachan, the many Sfarim, B'tachan means Hashem will give you a good you're asking for, it will feel good. Emunah means that the good, everything Hashem does is good, even things that you don't see is good. How do you put them together? And they're both foundations of our faith, and the simple answer is, like the Rambam writes in Lichos Brachas, Le'olam, a person should always ask that for the Asid, should always ask the Eibishter. And in the past, the Yeda. That means, for what happened to me until now, as a Yid, I'm going to have a Emunah that gamsul the Teva, and I don't get depressed, I don't fall apart, and I remain strong with my Emunah that everything's from Hashem, and fakert, my life could not have been any different than it is right now. That's what Emunah means. And more than accepting, to receive it. Receiving from Hashem, and it could be painful. It was painful to be in prison. It was painful to lose all the work I had for 18 years. It was painful. This business was a big business, and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was painful to work for something and suddenly it blow up and nothing left from it. The pain was there, but the Emunah, Baruch Hashem, was also there. The Emunah that whatever happened in my life is chas v'sholom, not by itself. The Eibush is making it happen. They're making it happen. Hashem loves me, and therefore I accept it with love. And I realize I don't understand everything about myself in my life, and I don't get depressed about it. What I do about it? I receive what happened. Kabbalah could not only accept it, receive what happened until now. Go forward with the betachan that Hashem v'yivtach, trust the Eibush will get you out of the tzara. And if the day finished and I wasn't finished getting out of the tzara, I realized I had the wrong day. The day became the past. I'm walking into the future. I woke up the next morning. I used to wake up every morning and I just say the whole Tehillim. I davened, said the Tehillim. In Shara B'tachan he says, this is another very, very strong point. In Shara B'tachan you have to, I learned Shara B'tachan many times to understand, because when I first was thrown into prison, I was overwhelmed. It didn't happen right away. I was like overwhelmed. What do I do over here? Do I accept what happens and cry my eyes out and get depressed, or do I accept it and try to overcome it, or do I? But everybody's telling me, "Trach gut wird sein gut. Think it'll be good. Have the betach Hashem will help." How do you put it together? And learning all this, which I shared with you, I realized that I learned Shara B'tachan many times until I got to understand. What the Eibishter wants of me, what's the true situation, what the Eibishter wants of me. Once I knew what Hashem wants of me, mitamol, it gave me the koyach to do it. Even though it was painful, even though it was hard. We do it all the time. We keep Shabbos, we keep kosher. We do what the Eibishter wants us to do. The Eibishter wants to have betachan. Oh, one of the things to learn in Shara B'tachan is that the B'teach B'Hashem, in Perek Gimel he writes, the B'teach B'Hashem is someone who will try very hard to do what Hashem wants him to do. Why? Because the same way he wants Hashem to be masking with him, that Hashem should do what the B'teach B'Hashem is asking him. Clearly, that the B'teach in Shara B'tachan is saying that the B'teach B'Hashem is saying to Hashem, help me out of the tzara. I'm facing an enemy. and help me out of the tzara. So what's happening until now is not the way the B'nai Hashem wants it to be, because it's not a real good. Hashem wants us to decide what is good for us, and wants us to ask Hashem to give it to us. You can't. The Ramban says you cannot have bitachon without emunah. Your bitachon comes from your emunah. So the stronger your emunah is, the everything from Hashem, even that stuff which is a concealed good, the more bitachon you're going to have, because Hashem tells you in Shara bitachon, Shalom Mordechai b'tach b'Hashem, Shalom Mordechai b'tach b'Hashem, Shalom Mordechai trust in Hashem. So I did that. I didn't. Listen, it didn't happen. In other words, it wasn't. We all have a Yetzer Hara, simple people like us, and we have a Yetzer Hara, and the Yetzer Hara comes and tries to confuse you and tries to throw doubt and fear. What do you do when you have that? You don't. Doesn't mean you go back to Torah and you're back and you learn and you take the energy and the koyach and the truth of Torah and you fight back the Yetzer Hara. No, I'm not going to think like a goy. I'm not going to take the narrative of the Yetzer Hara. I'm going to think like a Yid, and that's what I did every single day. So what does he say? So how was I able to? This is in Shara B'Tochen. That's why it's so important. In Shara B'Tochen, he writes that the B'Teach B'Hashem tries very hard to do what the Eibishter wants. Suddenly I realized, 1 second, I want to have B'Tochen means I have to try very hard to do what the Eibishter wants, which means that all the stories that means I shouldn't say to myself, oh, I'm in a terrible place called prison. In prison, I can't be a Yid the way I was before. Chas v'shalom. And they told me to take my yarmulke, and they have different stories I share with you. You take off my yarmulke. I said, no, I'm not taking my yarmulke. I'm not walking without my yarmulke. Because I have to try very hard to be a Yid. I'm not taking my tzitzis. They took away my thousand tefillin in some places. And I didn't eat until they gave me back my thousand tefillin. I had to fast a few days. It was painful, but I realized if I'm going to see myself as a B'Teach B'Hashem, I have to try very hard to do once. I can say, oh, I'm B'Teach B'Hashem, I feel good, everything is good, pass the cup of coffee here. Yeah? That's not what B'Teach is. B'Teach means, that's what Rabbeinu Bach is teaching you. B'Teach means, do what the Eibishter wants. So why? Because you want the Eibishter to be masking with you. So suddenly, and I'm going to share this very, very important Nakuda. B'Tochen is something which is a leaf. It's a chivas alvavos. It's a in the heart. How do you measure it? How do you measure it in a way where you think you can say, I have B'Tochen Hashem? At my level, how do you measure it? It's very easy to fool yourself. It's very easy to fool yourself both ways. Maybe you have it and you don't want to admit it. Maybe you don't have it and you think you do have it. How do you measure it? Here's how you measure it. You know how you measure it? See how much you're trying to do Ratzon Hashem. See how much you're trying to learn the Torah. See how much you're trying to do Mitzvot. Because part of B'Tochen means you're going to do what the Eibishter wants, so the Eibishter you want. So mitamol, what happens is you can measure. You can measure if you see yourself going through a day, and then day of prison. If I saw myself going through a day, I was learning, I was davening, I was helping other Yidden. I was Baruch Hashem keeping my shurim. I had a whole booklet. I got my shurim. And if that's the way I'm living, obviously I have B'Tochen also. That's exactly right. I have B'Tochen B'Hashem. So this is I was talking before about when I heard the sentence of 27 years, I was B'Tochen B'Hashem. I never allowed the 27 years to say no, that's what they say. Hashem tells me if I'm facing an enemy, I have trust in Hashem to give me the salvation I'm looking for. And Baruch Hashem He did. I had to wait 8 years in Gamzul Teva, but Taka says Chanukah Toshan Ein Zayin Ein Chesed Ein Zayin Toshan this Chanukah. The Eibishter made suddenly a nest. President Donald Trump signed the commutation, and I was freed from prison suddenly. And I stood there. And I was mamish as I heard the good news, and I thought to myself, wow, Hashem, you did it. I trusted you for so many years, and you did it. And there was such a feeling with Hashem. Till today, I'm celebrating the freedom. Every day I teach Amun, I teach B'Tochen, wherever I can. I explain people not only the learning side of it, but the actual practical, approachable situation that I was in, and how it helped me to remain emotionally healthy, to remain happy in a place called prison, and like when Baruch Hashem I got freed, the one of the Yidden that was still left over hears one God asking another God. He called up my wife and told them what happened. So he says I was online today, and I heard the God asking, "Who's this RUBASHKIN?" I guess he didn't know me. Who's this RUBASHKIN that Hashem used President Trump to get out of prison? The God said that President Trump freed from prison. And you know how he described me? He described me as the Jew that was always happy, the guy that was always happy. That's the guy. What was me happy? I wasn't walking around with a silly smile all the time. The happiness was I felt I was doing Ratzon Hashem all the time. Wherever I am, that's emunah and that's bitachon. And the power of emunah and bitachon is real. Bitachon is not a coping mechanism. A coping mechanism changes. You get a coping mechanism from somebody. What you're going to get is today works for you, and a few weeks go by, and your seichel, your intelligence, the way you look at things change, and you change also. Something that's not effective anymore. Bitachon is real. Bitachon explains you the matzav, what Hashem wants of you, your purpose of your creation. That's an asayin, overcome the asayin, and then it finishes. So this is a little bit of the teaching of the Emunah B'tachon I want to share at this point, but I'll go back to the story. I called up, and my wife tells me 27 years. I think to myself, that's what they say. If Hashem did this, accepted, b'simcha, shechayano, it's good. I'm not going to get down. And the next day they dragged me into prison, into the court. And they told me, what kind of games were they playing with me? What kind of games? In the American law, it says you have to sentence somebody in front of him. And they found a way of everything for the first time by me. Anyways, I stayed, they came back from it was a very hard thing. They take you downstairs, they keep you in there, in a waiting situation with handcuffs. It's painful. Slap you by van to a court, unload you like your package or something, and they drag you into the courthouse. And then I heard what I knew already, but I want to tell you something. You want to see? I didn't know it then, but the Gamsul tape is 100%. Was that night, Monday night, when the Yidden heard this terrible Gezerah on me, and look at this, how the Eibishter was a Chmonas on me, and they cared. And when the Yidden in Borough Park heard that they had this terrible Gezerah on me, 27 years, they were shocked. We had set up, the Askonim, in my case, and my family, had set up a gathering, a kahila for davening for me, to learn Torah and to daven for me, and to give tzedakah on my behalf, in Borough Park. When they heard this terrible Gezerah, they had so many people come. They were set up in Beis Yaakov in Borough Park. They couldn't fit them inside. They filled up the outside. The whole 15th Avenue around the school was all full. They had to get chairs and put them up there, and they're watching it from the screens. There was such an outpouring of love for another Yid. How much chizuk gave me when I found out. Not only that, they gave money. People were giving away money. Mamish Egin the Geld. The Pel is amazing. They wanted to help. And so what was thought to be hurt me winds up being l'taiva, in the sense of Yiddish davening and Yiddish caring. And the same Yidden 8 years later were in front of my father's house. When I got out, there was dancing, and we said Shema Yisrael together, and we all celebrated Hashem's Hashgacha and Hashem's Yeshuas. They said, what did they see when I got freed from prison? First of all, Yidden were davening for me. In Shara B'tochen it says, if you see any rachamim from a person, you should know that racham is coming from Hashem. What does that mean in English? In English, it means if you want to mechazik yourself, if you see somebody cares for you, or somebody's davening for you, or somebody's helping you monetarily, you see, don't think it's just oh wow, lucky you found somebody to help you. What you should see is Hashem has opened up the person's heart to care for you, and that's Hashem's rachamim. So you could be talking, a person could be going through a tzara, and he wonders where is Hashem about his tefillas. Just see the good things that are happening to you, and you see Hashem is with you. And the same way, the same way you see the rachamim of Eden. I heard people davening for me, and I got letters every single day, people davening for me. How was I seeing it? I was seeing it, Hashem has a chmonas on me. The Yitzhahara is trying to come and tell me, oh, Shalmatcha, Chas Sholom, they abandon you, Chas Sholom. Terrible thoughts, get depressed, stay in bed, don't get up. The road's over. Liegen. Why? How do I know? First of all, any thought that leads a person to depression is coming from the Yitzhak. That's number one. And here's it's against the facts. Seeing all this outpouring of love and rachmanis and caring and money, people giving money and davening for me, says the Shai B'Tachon, the rachamim is the Eibishter. Any other rachamim is weiter Eibishter, waking up people to daven for you. That's what you should see, and that should be mechazik you. As you're going through a tzara, you see somebody's trying to help you. What can a person do? But if you see someone helping rachmanis, the Eibishter is sending him. The Eibishter is showing you rachmanis. So take that as a chizuk. That the same way Hashem is showing you rachamim here, ultimately you'll see the whole thing will be solved. And that's our job, to have B'tach Hashem will help us. And all these Yidden that were there on 15th Avenue that night came years later to celebrate with me. And we danced and we said Shema Yisrael together. And we danced, we thank our Eibishter for the big ness that he did B'yom Heim B'zman Hazeh. You can stop this now and have a coffee meal.